Oh, I'm sorry, how are you? Overthinking your time as you no time to exist.
Perfect. Right.
Well, as you say, big little questions.
Yes, Bashar. All this last week I've been having dreams that are like samurai movies when people going around chopping people's heads off and things like that. And I haven't been able to figure out what the significance of that is. Can you help me with that?
What parts of yourself do you feel you need to get rid of?
None.
All right. What are you doing with those portions of yourself that you feel you are encountering for the first time?
I don't feel anything like that. Perhaps it's severing old ways of doing things or thinking about things.
All right. But you may also understand in that way that there will be to some degree representation of the idea that also represents parts of yourself, old ways. The idea of old ways, again, is not something that you end in the sense that you do not contain them any longer. It is not something that you disconnect from yourself in that way. Understand simply that the idea of what you term to be old ways, old habits, are simply ideas of yourself, which in that sense then no longer apply to the way or perspective that you now hold of yourself in that way. Recognize that it will be symbolic of that idea, yes, but realize there is no need in that way to feel that there must be such a severance in order to make a change, to allow a change. Realize that it may be symbolic, as you say, of a change, but really, in that way, severance never occurs. The idea of needing to disconnect from what you term to be an old idea in order to create a new idea will simply be, I'll say, a habit of the idea of that you must then cut out certain ideas from yourself in order to contain others. Realize that you are always simply only shifting a perspective through a series of facets which all already exist. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Now, allow me to ask you, how did your dreams make you feel?
Just fine. I was a little puzzled on why I was having that kind of dream. So I woke up and wondered what that was all about.
All right, understand simply again that it will be what you term to be a dream memory in that way. Always a physiological symbolism of what you actually experienced in the dream reality, being that there are no real transferable symbols from dream reality to physical reality. Your physical consciousness, your mental consciousness, will create physical symbols to represent the idea or experience you are undertaking in your dream reality. But realize simply that the symbols that you chose to represent the idea of making changes within yourself involves the idea of severing, where no severing really takes place in order to make the changes. You follow me?
Yes. Yeah.
It will be representative of the changes, yes, but not as represented by your physical symbols of a severance.
Okay.
Thank you. Question.
Bashar, I found myself experience some very violent pictures or impulses that occur every now and then, too, along this line, to cut somebody's head off or to, some real wild one. In some cases, like the impulse to pick up somebody and smash their head and these sorts of things. And I'm not quite sure why those symbols are coming through.
All right. Now, allow me to ask you, is it really in that way an impulse that you feel, or simply a picture which is there?
It's a picture which is there, which I get more resistance to.
All right, but understand in that way that when you allow yourself to begin integrating all the portions of your consciousness, negative and positive, then any ideas that you had heretofore judged or deemed to be, I'll say not appropriate in that way, you will then allow yourself the opportunity to run through yourself, experience them, integrate them, and in that way, not need to experience them in an impulsive way. You are simply allowing the wheels to unfold of that which represents ideas which are heretofore repressed as not acceptable. Portions of yourself. They are simply unreeling because they can unreel, because you can conceive of them. If they carry no impetus in that way, if they are merely pictures, then you are simply playing within your mind all of the ideas. Now that you have allowed your negative side to be integrated with the positive, to understand it had its own valid purpose in the time frame in which you used it, you are now simply allowing all the representative symbols of that idea of negativity to play themselves through, so that you may in that sense be done with them. You follow me?
Yes, so they're consciously acknowledged as something that's not part of the impulse.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing the conscious acknowledgement of that which is now then integrated within you. And therefore, the gift of the expansion, once again, of all that is in a positive light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
As long as I was going, I'd like to ask another one. I'm finding I'm having difficulty.
What?
Well, that was my term for it.
All right. Then understand it is your creation to perceive it in that way.
Yeah, that is true.
Now realize to me that you may continue with what you wish to say in that way, but allow me to suggest, not tell you, but suggest, that many times the words you choose to communicate with will reflect ideas that you carry within you. Perhaps if you, in that sense, then took the time to choose words which represent more accurately the reality that you wish to be, you would find yourself reflecting that reality.
Okay, that's very nice.
Do you wish to continue?
Yes, I would like to... let me see. The experience that I am running into is lack of belief that I will achieve certain objectives that I want to achieve. And I'm almost, I'm trying to allow that to unfold and not try to... If there's a resistance to the belief that it's going to happen.
Thank you. Now, understand simply that you're still in that way then making a differentiation between the idea and yourself. In other words, an idea which you consider to be you does not need to be achieved. The idea that you can achieve something means that it is not part of you, that you must reach for it. You follow me?
Yeah, but isn't that one of the basic ideas of physical life anyway, that we are separate from the things.
But once you consciously realize that idea, then you can, in that way, circumvent the physical illusion and create the known effect of being one and the same event with the idea.
Okay, would this be achieved simply by considering...
Not be achieved, known. It would be realized, yes, realized, by simply allowing yourself to know that that idea that you wish to be is something that you already are. Then you remove the self-created space between you and that idea.
Okay, I'm getting it philosophically partially, but not to be able to pull it off or to achieve it.
There is no achieving.
That I can't quite...
All right. Very simply, you may, if you wish, think of it in, I'll say, mechanical terms, physical terms.
Mm-hmm.
You are, I'll say, idea A, all right?
Okay.
Now, Do you understand that your reality is you?
Yes.
Then your reality is also idea A. When you make your reality idea B, then it is something that you must travel to get to. When you know that that reality you wish to relate to is something that you already are, then you will reflect and realize in your physical reality all of the manifestations necessary to prove to yourself, if you wish to use that term, that that reality is in fact you, right here and right now. As long as you assume that the idea is not you, that you are not the idea, and that really the term you and idea are simply symbolic designations to form a separation, then you will be able to feel as if you are the idea, rather than feel as if the idea is something you must achieve, which then implies it is outside of yourself. There is no outside. The idea of striving, struggling, achieving, working towards something in the quote-unquote future always sustains that idea separate and in the future. The idea that you are that reality is you, is what you are, right here, right now, in the present time, which is the only time which exists, then you will be able to recognize yourself right now as the idea, and therefore you'll be able to recognize aspects of that idea in your life. You will allow them to be your life, not allow them to come to your life. You will allow them to be your life. There is nowhere that they are coming from, because there is nothing that is really outside of yourself. They're all you. You.
Okay, let me play with this a little bit.
All right.
Let's put... Okay, I'm going to use my old terminology, and then let's convert it.
All right.
Because that's what's real to me at the moment.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I want to, and this is it, I can see it's projected in the future. It's the way I think of it. I want an organization in which I'm able to produce in physical dimensionality things I want to produce. Now I see that organization as something I'm going to have to create. That's the way I think of it.
All right.
And I believe that, I have certain beliefs that it's not going to unfold the way I want it to unfold.
All right.
Are you saying I should have the idea that I am the company?
Yes. Very good.
Okay.
I am the organization.
I am the organization. Okay. And then I'll go to test myself and say, well, where's the building?
I am the building.
I am the building.
I am all that is necessary for the unfoldment of this idea of myself. I contain everything, all the ingredients necessary for the perfectly timed unfoldment of this idea of myself.
Good. Now, excellent. I've got that concept. Now...
All right, one more thing. As we have said, every idea is a complete universe. Therefore, every idea, which is a reality, every idea is a reality. Therefore, every idea and every reality always comes complete with all the ingredients necessary for its unfoldment. Otherwise, by definition, it would not be an idea. You follow me?
Yes, I've heard you say that.
All right, then now the application of that idea is that you also, what you consider yourself to be, is also an idea. Therefore, you as an idea contain all the necessary ingredients for the perfect unfoldment of you as a reality. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
You are your own, totally complete, self-contained kit. Everything is there, all the instructions, nothing missing.
And how do I become to know that with more and more and more certainty and live it?
By allowing yourself to simply know it, and be it, and feel it, and know it, and then you will see it.
Allow myself. Okay,
allow yourself to be the idea. If you wish to continue to play then you may, in that way, if you wish to use the term, practice being the idea. You may, by analogy, start with something, quote-unquote, simple in your perspective. In other words, you may imagine the idea of, I'll say, sailing on a bright, beautiful, windy day out upon your water. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You are in that sailboat, skipping along, enjoying the breeze, enjoying the sun, having a general good time. All right?
Right.
Now, as you lie there in your boat, looking up at the sail, as the wind catches in the sail, billows it, pushes you along, you then look at that sail. Now, you become a little bit daydreamy. You look at that sail and begin to imagine, I wonder what that sail feels like catching the wind. Wonder what it would feel like to be that sail. So you use your imagination and become the sail. Feel yourself stretched tight between the masts of your boat. Feel the wind pushing against you. Feel yourself catching the wind and pulling the boat along quite speedily through the water. You feel the sun on one side, the shade on the other. The spray of water upon your fabric soaking into the weave throughout your now new body of the sail. Feel the clasps as they anchor to your top and bottom as the ropes pull taut upon you. Feel the stretching and the creaking of the molecules of the fabric of which you are now created. Feel every idea of energy movement in the air become the sail. Be the sail. Be the idea you call a sail.
Understood.
This will work with anything.
And how do I handle the idea that I'm going to go, well, that's a lot of fun now. How does it materialize in the physical universe?
You do not need to know. That is the point. You do not need to consciously consider the how of the mechanism. You are an automatic creator.
Wonderful. And how do I believe that it is going to happen? Because I don't. Often I believe it is not going to occur in the physical universe, that I've got to get out and put bricks together. And
all right. We have already discussed the how in that sense. Play.
Okay.
That is how. When you allow yourself to get into the habit of playing within your imagination as a real environment, you will then form the habit that will erase your need to know how. You will simply know how.
Okay. Good. I will work with it. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. Question.
Well, Bashar, do you have any... my name's David. Do you have any suggestions how I could improve my channeling abilities so I can get it more clear and any suggestions?
All right. First of all, allow me to ask you, why do you feel that you wish to channel?
Because I think I can get information that I don't already have, I suppose, in the physical.
Then you are speaking of simply the idea in that way. And not simply meaning in a derogatory sense, but simply the idea of channeling your own connection to your own higher consciousness, the blending of all your consciousness in that way. Yes? No? Maybe?
That's a maybe. I don't quite follow you on that.
Your idea that you call channeling in that way, understand simply that every being, every consciousness may always channel their own higher consciousness. You follow me?
Yeah.
That higher consciousness has access to any information which is pertinent to the mass reality that you have projected yourself into, this life of your time as you created time to exist.
Okay.
Has access to all the information that you need. Now, understand first of all that what you give yourself through your own channeling, through your own communication with yourself, in that way, your higher consciousness, if you wish, Always, what you allow yourself to get will always be exactly what is pertinent to the unfolding of your reality as you are creating it within the timing you have chosen. You follow me?
Yeah.
Therefore, in and of itself, understand there are no interruptions. You follow me?
I don't understand when you say interruption.
There are no interruptions in the sense that you feel there is not the speed of the flow that you wish.
Oh, okay.
It is the assumption in and of itself that there is something holding you back which causes yourself to be held back.
Oh, great. Right.
You follow me?
Yeah, I do. So, in other words, I should assume that it's flowing just perfectly.
Yes. Then you will see the purpose for the style in which the information comes. You will allow yourself to let all information be valid. You will not put the judgment upon it that this information has nothing to do with what I want.
Right.
You will allow yourself to accept it as something that has pertinence to your purpose in that way. Then, by allowing it to have purpose, you will then see quite clearly the purpose. You will become self-clairvoyant, clear-seeing. You will understand the framework you have put yourself into, its structure, its purpose, its reasons.
Right.
That will be our primary suggestion. The rest is up to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Question.
I have a question, Bashar. A couple of weeks ago, and then just a few minutes ago, you were talking about playing with your imagination or your imagination reality.
Yes.
And I don't understand exactly what that is. Can you talk about imagination versus reality, or what the use of
All right.
is?
Thank you. Understand, first of all, very simply, very briefly, that imagination reality, dream reality, and physical reality are simply different aspects of one reality. You follow me so far?
Yes.
They are only differences in perspective on how you view yourself as a consciousness. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
In many ways, you consider the dream reality to be less real and the physical reality to be more real. That is the purpose for the idea of the creation of physical reality, to view yourself from that specific viewpoint in that way, for purposes through which you cannot then obtain in any other way, non-physically. But understand that by strict, if you wish, strict definition, because you are aware, more aware of more of yourself, more of your alternate consciousnesses, your other lives, your extra-dimensional selves in your dream state than you are in your physical state, then your physical state really could be said to be the dream, because it is very, very limited. And your dream state could be said to be the real awake you. The physical state, therefore, is the projection of a portion of your overall consciousness for the specific purpose of, I'll say, exploring that particular portion through a limited viewpoint so that you can focus on that and that alone. But understand that your dream reality, imagination reality, and physical reality are still simply different, I'll say, frequencies of the overall reality of you as all that is, of you as existence. Now, the differentiation between what you term to be reality and fantasy, or imagination and fantasy, or dream and fantasy, will simply be that dream reality, imagination reality, and physical reality, when they are not fantasy reality, will have bearing upon the here and now present life as you have chosen it to unfold. Fantasy reality will still be real, but will not simply apply directly to the specific physical life you have chosen in this timing. You follow me? You cannot imagine non-existence. You are existence itself. Everything which then gives spark to any level of your perspective, dream, imagination, or physical, will, on some level of your consciousness, be real. And when viewed from specific levels of your consciousness, then appear to be real. As in the idea that when you are in a dream, anything may happen and it will still seem very real. Understand that when you are in the dream state consciousness, you are a thought form. Your dreams also being thought forms then form a real reality for you as a thought form. It is no less real than physical reality. It is simply a different frame of reference. Will that have answered your question?
Yes, and now I have another question.
All right.
Can we use our dream reality and our imagination reality to further our growth in the physical world?
Not only can, but you always do. Understand that every idea that you experience as a physical reality has been in that way experienced in your dream and imagination reality first, as you understand the terminology first. You form the idea you call blueprint in your dream reality, then project what you need of it into the idea you call physical reality to experience it in that way. You follow me?
Can you repeat that again?
You form the blueprint of your physical life in your dream reality. Then choose what portions of the blueprint to live out physically. Your imagination reality is the link between your physical and dream reality. It is the communication link that lets you know what the blueprint is and what portions of it apply to your here and now physical life. It gives you all the tools that you need to allow for the perfectly timed unfoldment of what it is you have chosen as a specific purpose in your physical life. What else?
I guess I'm wondering, what can I do to become more aware of using that as a tool?
Have you not just done so?
Yes.
Understand that there is no need to put a degree upon awareness. If you are aware, you are totally aware. If in the next moment you choose not to be as aware, that is another idea altogether. But every moment you simply choose to know that you are now aware, then you are simply aware. There is no need to say, well, I am not aware enough. You are always exactly as aware as you need to be according to the purpose you have chosen for this particular projection of yourself at this time. You are always creating yourself from moment to moment to moment to moment in time anyway, because you are creating time. And every time you recreate yourself, you are recreating the entirety of your whole universe. And in between, if I may use that term, all the moments that you recognize as physically real, there are other moments of other realities that in between your consciousness also recognizes as real, simultaneous existences, but which your physical consciousness does not. That is how you have parallel existence. You share moments in time. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Play with that for a while. See where that leads you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Question? Yes?
Is it the imagination reality that translates what occurs in the dream state into the physical?
Not so much literal translation, but it will give you an understandable physical symbol.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
For what you then require to relate to the dream reality.
Okay.
Question.
Is it Satan?
All right, one moment. Yes.
What John was talking about earlier, what I felt like you were trying to say is that you had certain feelings about like this business that maybe you were judging as like a negative thing, and maybe you were afraid that you create that and never get the idea off the ground based on a thought. I don't know, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, basically.
And I discovered a thing in my life that it's like I've been told for years and years about the idea that if you experience something, it'll go away, or if it'll flow on and change your experience, or if you let yourself feel something and not be afraid of them, it'll change into different experience. But I'm just starting to, I feel even kind of awkward saying this because it's the same old words all over again that I've been told for years, but I'm just starting to understand what it is or feel it. The idea of really coming face to face with what things that we're afraid of and really owning up to it, admitting it within ourselves and saying, yeah, I am afraid, or I am afraid of this, or I'm afraid this will be happening, because I'm finding that when I really own up to it, it becomes the end rather than adding and dragging it along because it's to it. And then we just kind of energy shift. I listened to a song by a guy named David Lee Roth on the radio, and I don't know if you know the song, it's called I Ain't Got No Life. And he sings this song with such joy and abandonment. It's, in dying, how nobody cares about me, what's from sweet mama.
Go ahead.
Well, anyway, my point is that I realized that this guy sings this song with such joy, and normally you would think that it's a kind of a negative type thing, sentiment and joy, and owning up to the feelings that it makes me want to rush and meet that guy. It makes me want to rush over and end his being alone, or what. Like I know that this guy singing the song, he's not going to be alone for long because it's such a joy.
All right. Very good. Then there is direct expression of the polarity involved in any particular negative or positive creation. There is the recognition that the polar energy can be created even within the allowance of the original idea. Very good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thank you for the sharing of your gift. Yes.
Okay, my question was, when you go to the other dimension, it seems as though the light seems to crystallize and break into pyramidal formations of crystals and then release into this other space. Is this how the space beings are traveling from the Pleiades? Is this how the dimensions work?
To some degree, yes. Now understand what you are perceiving by the pyramidal structure in that way will be the foundation vibration of what we will term to be the primal energy structure as created as the foundation support for your physical reality. Then you are, in that sense, stepping beyond it, yes. Understand that the idea of traveling, as you say, in spacecraft will involve not so much the idea of traveling as simply in that way recreating the self at another point in space and time. Since all points exist within the same point and all times exist within the same time. You are simply allowing yourself to become another location. You follow me?
I follow you. I think it seems that in my experience, by perceiving where you want to be, then you magically create the point where you go to and you become the point you wish.
Yes, not magically, consciously.
Is that how they guide the ship?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. In the pulsing with the crystal, in the fingertips, in the crystal's pulse, what is the connection, the energy in the pulsing?
Understand again that every reality is a matter in that way of a specific frequency or vibration in the energy field of creation. You follow me? You are tuning into the vibrational frequency of a reality, and by identifying, synchronizing, harmonizing with that frequency, with that pulsation, then you simply become one part of the existence of that reality, and no longer a part of the reality you were previously in, instantaneously and automatically. The pulsing mechanism in that way will simply be a symbolic representation of the idea of identifying one vibration with that of any other vibration for the purpose of allowing the self to simply then be recreated in that point in time.
Does the crystal intensify the thoughts that we have to create in essence?
To some degree.
Does the ionic force field, is that what creates?
All right. It is what creates to some degree the ability to unlock from any particular frequency. In other words, puts the craft into limbo state so that you may then identify with whatever frequency you wish. Then, when you remove the field, you will simply then emerge into whatever reality, place, time, space, no matter, that you have then impinged upon the identity frequency of the craft. You follow me?
So then, actually floating upon the Earth's gravitational field means that a great portion of the physical reality is believing it can be done.
Oh, yes. It is all a matter of belief, not a great portion, all of it. Follow me.
I follow you. I feel that in the Tao, in the electromagnetic field presented by the Tao, the changing of the Tao, that there are secrets to the physics that are illustrated in art form of how the anti-gravitational or levitational physics are expressed in human terms.
All right, to some degree, yes, it is interwoven within many ideas that exist upon your earth. Understand they are not secrets. It is simply the way you choose to view them. In that way, simply understand that any of those quote-unquote secrets are saying is that it is all a matter of your viewpoint. You follow me?
I believe that I can read some of these art forms and create and have the structures that can be energized and levitated.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And I believe the secrets are there. I wonder if you are associated with the beings that I have been talking and contacting.
There is what you term to be an association of many consciousnesses, many of what you term to be civilizations.
And the civilization of the Three?
Yes.
Do you know them?
Somewhat.
Do you know Semyonsi?
Remotely.
Quetzal?
Only myself remotely. Understand that in this way, my specific function with regard to your overall mass consciousness upon your planet will, as of this time, as you understand time to exist, deem that there be, to some degree, the cohesiveness of purpose, but in that way, yet still, the separation of the physical form. Though some of my people have direct dealings with them, yes. Esasani. There will be one at this time, as you understand it, star approximately in that way 500 of your light years from your star.
Part of the sky shall on this.
You will not see it at this time. It will be, as you understand it, obscured from your sight by intervening dust clouds. You follow me? Also, there will be a slight vibrational shift in the reality, which also in that way will at this time not make for viewing physically. Perhaps from time to time you may view it somewhat on other levels of your consciousness, but it will not register physically at this time.
Do you, in your physical form, in your time, in your place, resemble us as we do, as we are human?
To some degree. We will be, in your terminology, more humanoid. We will be of average 5 of your feet in height. White to whitish grey coloration. Similar, not exact, but similar in your perspective to blending of what you would term to be Asian or American Indian combination.
Is your hair straight and dark?
I have no hair. Understand that the males in that way have no hair. Females, some, very few, have dark hair. Most is white.
And your eyes? Are your eyes like ours?
Similar. you would express them as being wider, longer, slanted,
Chinese.
somewhat.
Were the stars Zeta and Reticula, are they near where you are from?
Only in that way, in, I'll say, relative direction as you understand it, but not really that close. But you will derive, I'll say, more accurate comparison of our features if you are familiar with the features of Zeta Reticulum. Yes, they are similar. Though you would consider us in that way a little bit more human.
Could you tell us about the relationship of the different races on this planet and where their origins were?
Not completely at this time. The majority of origin in that way is all somewhat singular. Though there has been, as you understand it, mixtures from time to time from other civilizations. You follow me?
Yes, I do follow you. Were there a blue race?
Yes. Still is.
Do you know from where they come?
They will be connection bridge to what you understand to be civilization which has existed upon your planet you call Lemuria. Many of them no longer exist in your frequency dimension.
Is that the cause for so many beings that seem to dissolve out of the light of a form of light and appear and stay briefly before they go on?
In a
Sometimes
sense?
they speak, sometimes they just pass by.
Some, yes. Passing through dimensional frequencies, yes.
Is it polite to stop at them and ask to speak with them?
You may always ask. You will not be doing anything impolite if they do not choose to stop. They will not. If they do, they will.
Could you tell us something about the etiquette or the form of etiquette that's most appropriate?
Most appropriate. You may say, hey! If you wish. You may say, oh, I would like to communicate with you. Now, if you really wish, simply understand, first of all, that I will say the quote-unquote typical greeting will simply be to project love and light. They will then be able to identify with that frequency vibration. You will be able, in that projection, to identify with theirs and form the connection for communication.
Well, that's what I've been doing, but I was just wondering what everyone else was doing.
Whoa! No need to wonder.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. Question.
Yeah. Can I ask, well, I know I can ask.
Well, thank you.
I'm not sure whether it's proper adequate to answer or not, but do you know where the being Walt Disney is at this point in time? Is that data that you can give?
Reincarnated.
Up on the northern coast of California?
Oh, we cannot say at this time.
Okay, thanks. I'll use my own knowledge. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bashar.
Yeah. It's similar to what Kennedy was saying about UFOs from other planets and things coming down. Some people seem to say that they've been abducted by these UFOs and taken on board ship and have been tested and things like that.
Some have, but understand not in the sense of abduction as you understand it. Realize that many times I'll say, lack of willingness of an individual to allow themselves, when exposed to their total wholeness, to be unfearful, will create for them an unpleasant situation out of a pleasant one. simply that this will occur very often when you will, in that way, interact within the field of a being who is integrated, who is willing to be integrated with all of the portions of their personality. As you identify and interact with them, many of those portions of your own field will also be activated. If there are portions that you fear, then you will generate fear within yourself and deem the experience negative.
Right. And what do they do to these people when what happens to them when they go on these ships?
Merely in that way, there is, by a few, very few, civilizations, some activity in the sense of simply, as you would understand it, gathering of information, scanning the individuals for certain ideas which are then reflective of the change within the consciousness of your civilization.
In other words, to help us in a way.
If you wish, yes.
Okay.
It is up to you. We will never in that way interfere, nor invade even on a mental level. Realize that is not even possible. You must always agree, whether consciously or unconsciously, to participate in whatever form of energy you are offered, positive or negative.
Does anybody ever stay aboard the ship?
Very, 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 and you may underline that 1,478,932 times. Very, very rarely. Thank you. Question. One moment. Yes.
You know, Amelia Earhart, when she flew up in the air and she never came back, you know what happened to her?
Allow me to say, do not wish to sound mysterious, but there will be no information on that idea for now. Thank you. Yes?
I wanted to ask about some of the accidents where heat rays have come and unpleasantly warmed human beings by UFOs. Is there a reason for that to occur?
Understand again, there will be to some degree the idea of the interaction formed by the human sphere, in the sense that they draw to themselves the idea that they approach in that way the craft while the field is still activated. Understand in that way the effect would be similar to being exposed to your own microwave energy.
Okay, is that caused from people attempting to approach the ship?
While the field is active, yes.
Is there a way to know when the field will be deactivated, or if one was invited to come closer? Is there some sort of a communication that could occur so that humans would know whether or not they were in danger?
First of all, if one is invited, there will be no danger. If you, in that way, approach craft that is still in the process of what you term to be hovering, there will be that danger.
So it's only that after a ship has landed that it might drop its field?
Yes.
Okay. That explains a great many of the accidents I believe that have occurred. And
yes.
I was interested in what explanation would be suitable to define that, because many people want to know why some people were burned and other people have had such beautiful experiences with
We have already described the idea. It will be what you are willing to view within your own personality that will judge in that way, the judgment being upon yourself, by yourself, what type of experience you will attract to yourself. You follow me?
Well,
if you, upon being, I'll say, willing enough to be exposed to more portions of yourself, and then at that point, in your vernacular, not being able to deal with it, then attempt out of your fear to, in that sense, rebuke or punish yourself for having created that experience, then you may, in that way of your own choice, draw yourself into an unsafe situation. To prove to yourself, as a reinforcement, the negativity that you feared would be there.
Well, I've done that before. I've practiced that. I hope I practice it. I don't do that very much anymore.
Why would you hope? Understand that the hope in and of itself implies that you really, in that way, believe that the fear may be stronger. Hope is not needed where knowing takes place. You follow me?
I would like to believe that the people who are visiting us do not intend to harm us.
All right, go ahead. Then understand, if you vibrate in that frequency, the ones you will meet will only be of that variety. When you reinforce the idea that you could meet a negative being and they could have control over you, then you will reinforce the idea that you can be controlled and therefore give them the power to do so.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes, thank you. Understand that when you are offered a greeting, positive or negative, it is only that, a greeting. No one has control over anyone else unless they choose to go along with the idea. But really, still, no one has control. You are controlling yourself.
Well, there was one particular accident that I was very interested in, and of course I have no idea who would have been involved, but there was a small child of about the age of 6, and he was outside, and he saw a spaceship landing. It landed, and then after it had landed, it sent a device down, which appeared to be like a periscope, looking around, and it aimed at the little boy and shot a beam and burned the child and set his clothes on fire. And the people were very interested as to why that accident would have occurred to such a small child.
All right, now first of all, understand in that way that your terminology accident in that way does not really occur. Everything again is by agreement. Understand that many individuals, even though you may consider them to be, quote unquote, not able in that way to discern their life for themselves, small child, so to speak, is fully in possession of the consciousness of the creations they are creating for themselves in their physical reality. Understand also it may serve many purposes. Realize in that way it may have been a reinforcement of many other people's fears and or beliefs and or needs to look at certain portions of themselves. Perhaps the child was willing in that way to perform as an example of certain ideas for other people to look at.
Is this an example of karma?
Karma is self-imposed. You follow me?
Well, that's a nice concept.
Every idea, everything in your reality is self-created. You are the creator. You are all that is. Karma, in physical terms, appears to be the idea of a judgment, because physical reality, the one you have been used to, implies that there is something outside yourself that controls you, that passes judgment on you. When you are non-physical, you understand the idea of karma simply as those ideas that you wish to project yourself into for the purpose of exploring that aspect of yourself, and you will carry them out for the purpose of experiencing the polarity of all ideas, the blend of negative and positive in that way. You follow me?
Well, I see that nuclear physics can become more important than a religion, and the religion might not serve the needs of the people. And I'm wondering what sort of uniting factor that you would have for a form of government or religion.
We have no government. We also have no religion. We simply recognize ourselves in that way as the creators of our reality, and we take responsibility for what appears in it. When you do not have the willingness to take responsibility for creating everything in your reality, then you create ideas which seem to be separate from yourself and say, here, will you please take responsibility for my fear for me? Then you create the idea you call government. When you create the idea you call government to take responsibility for your fears for you, then you have built a consciousness, an entity, a being from fear. And the only way it can then sustain its existence, which any conscious entity wishes to do, is by creating more fear to live on.
Do you think that cooperative forms of government forming and cooperative businesses where people share equal forms of responsibility is a symbol of higher consciousness?
In a sense. Understand, however, again, we do not possess what you would term to be any form of government whatsoever. Understand simply that within our structuring of our mass consciousness, we allow ourselves to know that every idea, every act that is expressed is always done within perfect timing, exactly where and when it needs to be done. There are, in that sense, the idea of organization of certain information, which we call the association, but it exercises no governmental power over anyone. It is undertaken freely, creatively, willingly, and is of service, when each individual is willing to be totally responsible for their reality, when each individual is willing to totally be of service to all that is, then every individual is automatically provided for because every individual is all that is.
That brings me to another social question.
All right.
To understand the place where you live, how long do each of you live in your bodies on the average?
As you understand time, approximately 300 of your years.
What is the average birth rate for reproduction among the species? How many children would a person normally have?
There will not be in that way an average. It will depend upon the conscious recognition of purposes in that way that are being chosen by as yet uncarnated beings. And the dialogue which ensues will then identify the timing again by which those beings will become physical through birth. But again, the timing will always be in that way perfect. It will never in that way exceed nor be under any particular idea, but it will fluctuate from time to time as the timing itself shifts.
How do you see the birth rate of human beings on this planet in relationship to the balance of our natural resources and our ability to take care of them?
All right. Thank you. First of all, understand that what you consider to be an excess of birth rate is nothing of the sort. Realize you have a great quantity of your planet that is in that way livable, yet not lived in. Understand simply that we do not mean that you should remove all of your natural aspects of your planet to live there, but realize that with the removal in that way of what you term to be borders, there will then be more than enough room to move around. You follow me?
Oh, yes, it's delightful. There has been a lot of concern over various areas being so poor and other areas being so wealthy, and yet the redistribution of wealth seems to be quite a problem.
All right, but understand that has nothing to do with birth. It has to do with your ideas about the distribution of that idea.
Well, are you familiar with Ethiopia and the people who are living there?
To some degree, yes.
What do you feel about the circumstances under which they're living?
It is their choice. Understand it serves many purposes for your consciousness as well as their consciousness at this time. It allows you to view that those individuals in that way. Now, this may seem, I will say, quite silly to you, but allow me to understand the idea of expression within your language that they have an abundance of poverty. Understand simply that when you choose to view them as being as abundant as you, only in a different commodity, then you will not be reinforcing the idea that they are allowing you the opportunity to view them as equal creators. When you view them as equal creators, not all those poor people, they have nothing. They have no abilities that I have. None of the gifts, none of the opportunities. You are reinforcing their poverty for them. When you choose to view them as they are willing to act in that way to give you the opportunity to do, as equal co-creators and totally abundant, they will then lose the purpose of poverty. You will be allowing them to allow themselves to be equally abundant in every area. And in that way, you can also recognize simply that once again, it is not a matter in that way of birth. It is a matter of what you will term to be political viewpoint which has created their situation. The lack of willingness of their own in that way, as you understand it, political structure, to view everyone in their political structure as equal. By definition, the creation of those types of political structure will not view anyone as equal. There will be lessers and greaters. So as long as you create the idea that you need someone to take care of you, someone to take your responsibility for your life for you, live your fears for you, protect you from something that you know must be out there somewhere waiting to jump upon you, then you will always be allowing that idea to exist in your society. Understand, you are your government. You are your government. There is no separation unless you choose to continue to look at it that way. As long as you do, you will constantly see the idea played out again and again and again and again of the lessers and the greaters.
Bashar, is that this idea of the abundance, is that similar to the recent incident in Bangladesh of the tidal wave and the people dying?
Understand again that with any event, there is also, as you define cultures within your society, the idea also of cultural purpose, self-imposed cultural karma and experience. But it is all involved as a connected idea within the mass consciousness, gives the rest of the mass consciousness the opportunity to view another facet of themselves and to understand that you are towards the end of your here now cycle, as you pass from what you term to be your old to new age awareness, playing out many of the ideas, getting rid of many of the old tools very quickly.
Yeah, part of it, yeah. I thought that it might also have something to do with the idea of the disasters.
To some degree, yes. Now understand again that that idea stemmed from the idea that you had an old tool, that you had an old habit, an old perspective, an old way of looking at things. That transformation, to be worth any value, must be undertaken through great pain and suffering.
So they are playing out this idea for us.
Yes. Understand, it is simply an opportunity for them to realize that they only need to suffer once. They are also in that way, if you wish to be colloquial about it, catching up.
Yeah, they seem to have been having this idea for a while about that they only need to do it once, but in 1970, I think it was, they had a similar kind of a thing.
All right, but again, understand that in your terms of time frame, what you deem to be even the last century of your time is rather rapid acceleration. Yeah. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Can you give me a definition for people who are just hearing about this word channeling? Everybody's talking about channeling, and to tell people who've just heard about it, how should I say when people say, what's channeling?
If you wish. All right, one moment. Now, why don't you channel your own answer? Then you will know firsthand. What is channeling?
Well, it seems like it's,
No, do not ask you what it seems like. Do not say, what does channeling seem like? What is channeling? Go ahead, be a channel. What is channeling?
It's being aware of energies.
Keep it simple.
It's passing on communication, receiving and passing on communication.
Only to an extent, all right, to an extent. Now realize that you did give me exactly the perfect answer. But you did not realize that you could stop. Being aware. Period. Being willing to be aware, to know of all that you are. Allowing yourself to be in touch with yourself. To blend all levels of your consciousness, to view the idea of separations between levels of your consciousness only as an idea. Recognizing yourself as one consciousness. Knowing yourself as all that is. All of these are definitions. Willingness, allowance, that is channeling. Being, living, that is channeling as well. Living is channeling. Creating is channeling. In other words, anything that you do. Because you are always being a creator. Whether you create positive or negative, you are still a creator. Whether you are creating yourself consciously recognizing that you are in control of your life, or creating that you are out of control, both are simply creations. That is channeling.
Thank you.
No, thank you. You gave the definition after all.
We're going to take a break tonight?
Do you wish one?
Yes.
You may take your break.
Thank you.
All right, I'll say. Question.
Bashar, did I create a negative experience out of a positive one when I was in a spaceship several years ago?
Why are you asking such a question? You obviously are creating it to be a negative experience right now.
I remember a lot of grief that I had.
Remember? Understand the idea that you call memory. You are in the moment of the recreation of the memory, creating it right now.
So I can create it as a real positive experience.
Yes. Understand in that way, you will then be experiencing the idea through another you.
Okay. Thank you. I have two more questions to ask. Do you have spirit guides?
In a sense, yes. But understand that our communication in that way is conscious.
Okay. We can consciously communicate with our spirit guides, though, right?
Yes. But understand again that the idea you call spirit guide will always, for the most part, allow you to communicate with a projection of your own consciousness.
Is it possible for a being who doesn't have a body to get caught between dimensions, the dimensions in the third dimension, subdivisions of dimensions in the third dimension?
This may be an experience which can, in that way, be undertaken, but realized in that way for the most part. It will be, if it is truly in that way non-physical, it will be difficult to maintain the illusion of being caught. If it is of what you term really another quasi-planar reality in that way, then there may be more opportunity for the individual to create a physicalized reality in which one feels trapped in between dimensions. Question.
whenever you were making contact with Daryl just now, I felt a vibration, which I feel every time that the association comes through Daryl. Was there anything happening there?
What significance would that have for you?
I don't know. I just thought maybe they were going to speak.
So?
I just asked you, are they?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. No. Allow me to say that again, if you have perceived vibrations which you give, excuse the pun, certain associations to, you may simply allow the vibrations its own path through you for the unfoldment of whatever purpose that vibration serves. Now, many times you may, in that sense, allow yourself to know the idea of the patterns that are being expressed and experienced within any particular exchange, such as the one between yourselves and ourselves, and thus in that way know that you are in that way exchanging with particular frequencies or consciousnesses. Yes. Understand also that the more you all allow your own mass consciousness to already also be a part of the idea you call the association, you will pick up on that frequency of your own self as well.
I've noticed it a few other times, even besides the channeling in it. It's like my body seems to vibrate, the actual physical body there.
The more you allow the integration, the more you form your own association. And the more you will simply recognize that energy within the integration of all of your parts. Thank you.
I have another question.
Yes.
With regard to the same topic, I had another experience with two other types of energy vibration, which I was wondering if I describe it to you, if you would maybe know who they are.
You had the experience and you do not know.
Well, I'm not sure exactly who it was. I think I know, but I don't.
Why do you need to know?
Curiosity.
Oh, here we go again. Just curious.
I didn't say just. I said
curiosity. Realize that the energy of your intent is much stronger than the words that you may not cleverly choose.
I suppose also that like my interpretation of the feeling of it would be uniquely my own anyway, wouldn't it?
Very good. Again, understand that the experiences you allow yourself to create for yourself are, in that way, yes, uniquely your own. Your own gifts in that way to cherish and live, to enjoy, to unfold, to play in, to live, to love.
Yes.
Therefore, understand that if there is purpose in forming what you may term to be an identification with any particular consciousness, you will do so.
Yes.
Understand that when an individual says, "Oh, just curious," then they are expressing what we may term to be spiritual laziness. They are saying, "Bashar, figure this one out for me. Take me to the end of my experience now, ho-hum."
That was a great dramatization. But you know what? There was a little more to it than that. Actually, the curiosity I had on it was a little bit of. I was a little bit curious.
You are a lot curious. Go ahead, be bold.
Right.
That is the point. Curiosity is the energy that leads you to discover more of yourself. That is why when you say, "Oh, just curious," you don't get very far in the exploration.
All right.
I am very curious about this. Oh, very excited.
Yes.
Therefore, I will explore. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at this.
Yes, I didn't get very far with it with you, did I?
Now, what are you curious about?
Whether or not other individuals would have felt the same vibration the same way.
Why don't you ask them?
Did you? But see, that's why I thought, well, if I describe it to you, then you would know whether or not it was the same one. But
it is a similar idea, yes. But it will be mostly because you are forming the idea of associating all of your own personality portions. Therefore, it vibrates in accord to the vibrational frequency that represents to you the idea you call the association. That is what is meant by identifying with a vibrational reality. You become that vibration, and hence the atmosphere round and about you then becomes that idea. Then that is what you sense. That is what you project back to yourself from your outwardly projected universe. It is the reflection of yourself that you get.
So, well, yeah, that's like everything we experience is actually our own creation. You know, there is contact with others.
Yes.
Okay. I have another question.
Oh, all right.
Having to do with your ship that you mentioned on Monday. You said that someone asked you about it, and you said that it was triangular.
Yes.
And it had some thickness.
Yes.
Okay. Whenever you mentioned it, the thing that I experienced on that was like it's like a molecular thing where everything within the ship was a whole thing, and it was more like a serious type of a viewing of it, I guess. Although you do have bodies, and I couldn't quite...
All right, very good. Yes, as any physical symbol is, ships are projections of the consciousness of the pilot. Yes.
Is there a reason for the pyramid shape or the triangular shape?
Yes.
But of course.
Oh. What is it, Bashar? Oh, all right. Understand in that way. Simply that there are fields of energy dimensional density which would then cause what you term to be, within certain areas you call space, disc-shaped craft to be thrown about, whereas the stability is achieved in three-sidedness within those areas. Therefore, understand that the vibrational idea, density that we traverse in that way, many times from our system to yours and to other systems, will be that we will pass through this density vibration and as such form the shape of our craft to withstand that density vibration more smoothly. Thus, it will be more stable form for us.
Can you describe it?
One moment. What?
I just going to say I thought it was just because you liked three.
That is part of the overall recognition of the pattern of our particular consciousness.
Which density would that be?
It will be not the idea we have been discussing so much as third, fourth, fifth, and so on, but it will be an idea of a density field within third and within fourth, as the idea density field that is used in that way for, quote-unquote, navigation.
So is it like a transition?
Yes. Very good.
Great. Another question on that. The ships that some of your people share with other civilizations, are they of the same shape?
Most are, as you say, disc.
Okay, I knew that.
No, thank you. Next time, you may simply say so.
You're right, thank you.
Bashar, I was crying a minute ago. I was thinking of asking this question.
All right.
See if I can ask him about
It does not matter.
Well.
You are releasing energy. Very good.
Well,
journey across the country a few years ago, about 6 months after we got married. My son was with us, and we were driving in our car. And we were all real tired. My son looked up and said, Mom, hey, Mom, poked me, in the front. Says, what are those triangular things up in the sky? And it was at night. It was really dark, so I looked up, and I couldn't see anything. About 45 minutes later, I guess we saw some ships, They communicated with real strongly. My wife was grieving. And anyway, whenever I told people that, I always told them they were triangular shaped, and they would look at me like I was crazy. Like, there are no triangular shaped spaceships.
Now, may I interrupt you for a moment?
Yes.
Realize that several of your years ago, they would not have bothered to differentiate. Oh, you saw what? Spaceships? Who cared what shape? Now they are big experts. Triangular. Oh, no, there are round ones, disc ones, long ones, short ones. Triangular? Oh, no.
Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for publicly stating that there are triangular spaceships.
Now, you may also understand that also physically, the channel before you has seen our ships physically in what you term to be broad daylight.
Oh, really? Daryl?
Yes.
Oh, great. I'll have to talk to him later.
All right.
Oh.
Thank you.
Question.
I want to share a comment.
A comment on that. They had it on TV. It was on Channel 7. They had Daryl being interviewed, and they had an artist rendition of it.
Really?
So everybody in Los Angeles has had a chance to see it.
Oh! Hooray!
Who built the pyramids on Mars?
One moment. Yes.
I wanted to share something about Sedona, Arizona.
Go ahead.
An ecstatic explosion of coincidence.
Oh, no, not one of those.
It's ongoing. It's just begun, but I wanted to share what's happened so far because it's so much fun.
Thank you.
A few weeks ago, Steve over here was going to go see the Hopis, and he took off. And then, meanwhile, a woman that Steve does not know at all, but that I know and who I was going to live with, she went up that same weekend and spent the weekend in Sedona with her parents. And I had not thought about Sedona for years. I'd gone through it, but I'd forgotten that I'd ever traveled through it, and I couldn't remember much about it. But a light bulb seemed to go off in my head when they said Sedona. I thought there's something special about Sedona. So then Steve came back, and he turned out to have spent a lot of time in Sedona, and then I thought, oh, wow, this is getting significant. So, one reason I'm so excited was because I've been very, very strongly drawn for the last 6 months to northern Arizona, and many times I've almost gotten in my car and just driven, but I'd never quite gotten that far into doing it. So I was getting real excited about this, and then, so many things just kept happening about Sedona, and then the most recent thing that was a lot of fun was I was trying to get to Sedona, but I had...
Trying to get there.
Yes. I know. You don't have to tell me all that.
Thank you.
So, but I had no money, so I knew that it must not be the time yet, so...
Oh, really? Had no money, so I knew it must not be the time, because that is the only way I can imagine ever getting there.
No, I had other ways, believe me. I had another way that was just great. But it was involving another person, but for some reason I just thought, I'm not going to tell her about it yet. And that night, Christina over here said she wanted to go to Sedona on the 23rd of June. So I said, that's interesting. I wanted to go to Sedona, so she said, let's go together. So then she called up Charlene,
Yes. You are going with a group. Yes.
Yeah. She said, would you take my place?
You are there with a group.
Yeah, I know. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Yes.
What about it? Oh, I want to tell you, that's right. You know what I thought? in our dream state or whatever, it's like when you get an invitation in the mail or something to a party.
It is a group of 7 at this point.
Really?
At this point.
Yeah.
Momentum may change.
Yes.
Do you want to say anything more
By
about
the
that?
time we get there, it'll be 700.
Yeah, really.
What, can you tell us what's going to happen there?
Question.
I
I knew you'd say that, but sir.
Oh, when you are very psychic.
My question is about pyramids.
Yes.
I'm holding an object in my hand which has a lot of pyramids on it, and it has warmed up and gotten very warm and pulsed in my possession yesterday and other times today. And I was wondering how this came to being. I was told that Semioticy brought this here and gave it to a man who calls himself Dr. Fred Bell. Not this individual piece, but the plans to make the pieces.
How many pyramids?
Well, I haven't counted them yet, but there's a...
Are there at least 14?
Oh, I believe there's a great deal, many more. If I were to place this in the hands you have, could you feel it? Would you be able
Not at this time.
Well, I was wondering about the other pyramids because there's so many pyramids. Now I know there are pyramids on Mars as well as so many pyramids on Earth. I'm wondering...
No, do not forget your moon.
Okay. I'm wondering who built these pyramids and why those pyramids are there.
All right. Now understand simply that there will be no specifics right now as to the exact who. You may simply understand, obviously, other civilization. But you may understand the why in that way, as there will also be many in that way devices pyramidal in nature which are also buried under the surface of your planet. They will form communication links in that way, energy links, doorway links, transitional links. They will form a part of the energy linkage within the network, within the web of consciousness to consciousness, civilization to civilization, beacons to beacons.
Are you speaking of pyramidal devices that were manufactured and buried or natural ones?
Manufactured.
In the earth?
Yes. Coincidentally enough,
In the earth.
do you know where one might be?
Well, there's a lot of stories about the Bermuda Triangle.
All right. Now, we were just speaking, however, of Arizona. It will be a crystalline sphere in which there are, I'll say, 14 gold pyramids stacked to form one large pyramid. This will have the resonance frequency to act as this communication beacon, as this energy beacon, this doorway beacon. It will form a flow of energy lines which will extend through doorways from civilization to civilization. You will be made aware of them physically in your not-too-distant future. They are very, in your terms, deep. At this time, beyond your capacity to find. Yes. Mentally you may. Emotionally you may. Consciously you may. Spiritually you may. Physically, you have not yet brought that realization into your reality.
Is there any attempt at the moment physically by any parties to dig it up? Or?
No, not really. It is that deep.
Okay.
Bashar?
Yes.
Could you tell me something about the are you familiar about, it appears something like a mandala that's called the Hotu, or the river map that the Yellow Emperor is supposed to have discovered by the Yellow River, whom I believe was given to him by the Pleiadians. It looks like some sort of a diagram it has been attributed to be the key to understanding the magnetic fields of the Earth. And it's laid in an interesting arrangement, which has been given great significance in the use of medicine and
understanding that way, it is not so much exactly the idea of the magnetic fields as it is an electromagnetic map of the mental web, of the telepathic connection that you have in what you term to be, in your phraseology, the supermental mind of your civilization.
So it's actually a key to...
Very good.
The significance of each dot in its exact location as a significant part of the meridians, perhaps, in the nervous function?
Close. We will let you discover the rest. Question.
I have a question. I don't know if I even have a question. I would like to discuss something.
All right.
All right. And I don't want you to give me advice because I know.
Thank you.
I know what you would say. What I would like is I just want to discuss this with you in the idea of stimulating my own imagination in different areas.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm very excited now.
Yeah, so am I. It has to do with several interrelated things with regard to my life. I've been very excited for 6 months about June and what June was going to be, and
you are not alone.
I didn't think so. The exciting thing is, I've got about $7 left and about 2 days worth of food. My son only has about 1 day. He has to skimp. I have an impulse, on the one hand, to run out and work real fast. Do some kind of work and bring in a little cash. And I have another impulse to just ride it out, see what happens.
Oh, how fascinating.
Yeah. Now, there is another side to this coin, and that is my husband. For the past 6 months, 6 months ago, we lost the form of income that we had, and we embarked upon kind of an adventure of doing what we wanted to do and seeing if we could survive that way, and we have. And so far, he's not been the one directly bringing in the money, which has been fine with me because of what he has been doing, but he has gotten more and more the consideration that he's not doing anything. And so I have kind of gone back and forth between the idea of just, hey, it's fine, everything's cool, and I feel fine about that, but then his morale gets very low. Other times I get really mad, which I finally realized this is his creation of me getting mad at him so that he'd have some kind of impetus to go out and do something. And then he'd be very excited because he was doing something. But it never went so far as actually getting a job. It was just sort of like going out and talking to somebody about doing something. And now I can't even pretend that I'm mad. It's like, I can get mad because I can see that he's creating that, and so I'll get mad and I'll play the whole game and I'll say I'm going to kick you out of the house and all this kind of stuff. But I know it's all ridiculous because I'm going to do just whatever happens is going to happen. Now, I know that up to this point it's been a perfect creation of just going back and forth those two ideas. It hasn't really been going back and forth. Each one has been a new creation and a new learning experience.
Very good.
But I kind of am looking at putting some imagination into creating in a new direction, like letting that kind of a cycle go, like it's not really necessary anymore to keep going back and forth between that.
A new direction.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And I guess the thing is that nowadays it takes a little bit. It's more of an effort to pretend that I'm mad and to basically like boot him in the butt, that kind of thing, which he wants, which he's creating me doing, and he's happier when I do that. But it's getting more of an effort. It's less of an effort for me to just go, hey, I know that it's all fine and it's all going to be fine and whatever is whatever, right? So it's sort of mushy for him.
All right.
Okay.
Then, if I may.
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
You're
You may be allowing each other to play the game of taking from each other that portion of the idea which you then will integrate into both of your ideas. In other words, the idea that everything will be all right. Many times, some people will just sit around and let it happen in the way that they do nothing at all, even when they know they can act.
Yeah, I want you to talk about that. It's good. I want you to talk about that because I had a tendency to sometimes do that, to just sit around and do nothing. When it really was like, go do something.
All right. Then understand simply that if you are in touch with yourself, you will know the difference between when it is go do something because you have fear, or go do something because that is your instinct.
Well, okay, yes, and I do have something right now. There is a little bit of go do something because of fear.
But
But
only because, in that way, you think that will be the only thing that will allow you to know when there is something to do.
What, the fear?
Yes.
Uh-huh. You're very right on that. You're very right. That's what I have used that as an indicator up to this point. Is,
yes.
Let things get desperate, and then it's like that's
yes.
an indicator of when to act.
Yes.
I like to not need to do that.
All right. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the thing, I guess, what's kind of right now is when I've been at this point before, I said I let it go. Well, I let it go right to the very end, and then the discomfort that's not brought about. Now I'm kind of backing off. I'm a little bit less eager and less willing to just do that.
All right, but you are right at a creative pressure point.
Yes, I know.
Therefore, we will let you ride it out.
Great. All right.
Why can't
we will. All right.
Why can't you allow in terms of creating something that's not out of fear of a pathway to that being okay, I would like to do something, but I'm going to create the thing that I would like to do to knock on my door and take my own suggestion, as it were, by allowing it to come from someone else as infinite. You understand what I'm saying?
No, go ahead.
So if I wanted to do something, if I wanted there to be an opportunity to do something, instead of feeling like, okay, the only way I'm going to feel like I'm doing something is if I get up off my rear end and I go out and I search out all the possibilities. Why can't you let the possibility come to you?
Oh, yeah, I don't have the consideration that I have to jump up and do anything. The only consideration has to do with money, and that's my idea that, well, now that I'm down to, $7 and I don't really want to go knocking on somebody's door, say, please, where? So my idea is, well, the easiest thing I know is to go get some money and go out and do some work for it. Everything else is already flowing at me as far as I know that everything that I want to do, like going to the donor, it's all working out perfectly. That's the only thing is, well, there's kind of a fear idea of, as far as that kind of the old idea. It seems like my imagination can come up with something better. Than going, jumping out and doing what I do.
They're not the I know for myself.
Allow something to come in the door.
What sounds fun, it doesn't quote unquote work. You can make money at the fun thing.
That's a very good suggestion. Very good.
Without any judgment of those in that way at this time, who simply are creating a situation where at this time it will not be, I'll say, feasible for them to do so, without judgment of those who choose simply, in that way, to enjoy by watching. May I also suggest that there may be the opportunity for those in this room who would enjoy to do so, if they wish, to pull out one of your magic dollars and throw it at her. It is up to you. Is that what I said?
No, it's not magic.
Yes. Your money is magic to you. Pull out $1. Throw it at her. Now you have created a flow of abundance that will create a vacuum which will be filled. Now, how do you all feel about creating that idea together? Cost you nothing, made you feel good, made her feel good.
I just doubled my net worth. That's great.
Now, understand any time that you have now set up for yourself in that way the beginnings of the idea of the exchange, that each and every one of you always has more in that way than you need, and there is no reason to feel that anything has been parted with. You have set up a flow which will now be contained within the idea of the unit of the mass consciousness here and now of your time as you create time to exist, that will always then continue to reverberate through the energy of each individual consciousness and the mass consciousness represented here before you. Thank you for allowing yourselves in that way to be very creative. Within your own terms of symbology, with your magic as you know it to exist. Now, realize that all of the magical symbols that you have created throughout your history, throughout time as you have created time to exist, in that way, all functioned much exactly as you have just done. You have created symbols which you know then cause a flow to start for everyone involved in the exercise. You are now all allowing yourself to create the idea of a movable abundance. Realize that the idea you have with your money of abundance, when you hold on to it, does not go anywhere. Does not go out, then it does not come in. Understand in that sense simply that it does not mean that to initiate the flow, you must, in that way, as has been demonstrated, spend even all that much of your money. It is simply the idea in and of itself that you have all allowed yourself to create one exercise together, which again allowed you to create a flow towards another portion of yourself that you are all supporting as the idea of being non-abundant. You have now made that portion abundant. Therefore, all portions of yourself are now abundant. Each and every portion of the mass consciousness, each and every portion within each individual consciousness is now equally abundant. And you have set up a flow, the momentum of which will now increase because you have allowed there to be a space for that momentum to flow into. We will thank you. Question?
Sure.
Oh, one moment. Yes.
All of this talk about spaceships and everything is very new to me, and so I wanted to ask about a personal experience of mine. A couple of years ago, when I was doing a lot of meditation, I awoke in the morning, and I recall being awake, and then this energy started buzzing through my body, and I remember 3 specific different sounds, one like a helicopter blade chopping, and 2 higher pitched frequencies. And then I had found sort of an image of a spaceship above me, a circular spaceship, and the beings inside were like celestial beings. They were part of the ship, but also separate unto themselves. And they said, "Would you like to come with us?" And I didn't know if they meant, if I said yes, that I would go out of my physical body and not come back.
Oh, you would have come back.
I didn't know. I had no previous experience
Oh, fine.
that I was aware of. So I was fearful and didn't do anything. The last thing that I recall is outer space kind of turning, going away from me. And then I was in my room normally.
Yes, very good.
So I don't know what to make of that experience.
Oh, it is very creative, very simple, very natural. Understand simply that while you were then experiencing much of the same phenomena that many of your individuals experience upon the idea you call astral projection, that is the spinning sensation or sound, the buzzing or popping sound, the clicking sound in that way, the ringing of your body, vibrational recognition. You had then projected your consciousness astrally in that way into the fourth dimensional plane in which all spacecraft then travel. Therefore, you were able to view those beings and their craft more as one celestial idea of light. They recognized, being a thought form within a world of thought forms, as your astral form then was, you, in that way, traveling within your own quote-unquote ship, in a sense. The ship of your own consciousness, as theirs is to them, and simply extended the invitation to share the journey for a while.
Can you tell me who they were or any information like that?
Not now. Now that you have been willing in that way to express the idea in such a manner that you can know that you are doing something quite natural, and that you can at any time you wish in that way enjoy the sensation again, you will now be able in that sense to find out what you need to know on your own.
Now, that experience, it seemed to me, was an accident. That I
Nope.
didn't intend to do it.
Not consciously. But understand that the idea of physical reality, for the most part, is usually that your conscious self is always the last to know.
I guess the question that I've got is, how do I know when to trust when something is just a fantasy, and when is it...
What difference does it make?
I don't know.
Then that is good. Keep it that way.
Okay.
A difference which makes no difference is no difference. You follow me?
No.
A difference which makes no difference is no difference.
Right. Okay, I'll follow that.
Therefore, if it has validity within the feeling it generates within you, if you allow it to make changes within yourself, if it serves as a valid tool for you and you do something with it, then for you it is valid, it is real. The idea again, once again, of what you term to be fantasy does not mean it is not real. Simply does not immediately apply in that way. Now, I would suggest that since you gave yourself the opportunity of that experience, it obviously implies that is no accident. Allow it to unfold within the timing that you have already chosen to experience the purpose of your life in. Thank you! Question?
So my name is Lana,
Yes?
and I've been having abs a lot and breaking things.
Yes. Yes. Or will I tell you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Allow me to say, you are, to some degree, performing the service for your family of physically acting out their own uncertainties at this time about certain energies they are beginning to explore, where they feel a little bit awkward, where the footing is not quite sound, where they still feel to a small degree that they are not quite yet in control of the situation. But the exemplification of the physical act of the accident in that way, that you are so willing to act out for them, is a reminder in that way that by striving to consciously control a situation, you always allow yourself to slip out of control. It is a very giving gift. It is being done within love, and, if you wish, you can now know that the purpose of that particular type of physicalization, what you term the accidents, you may now allow yourself to know, if you wish, that the purpose has been recognized by those for whom you were acting it out. And whether or not immediately there is any change, it will not require you any further to be of service in that way as a detriment to yourself physically. The purpose has been shown and recognized and absorbed within the level of the consciousness that is necessary for it to be absorbed into at this time. Therefore, you may, in this sense, at this time now, because you are at the nexus of your choice, choose in that way to recognize that the purpose has been recognized, and now you may be able to, in a more positive way, allow yourself to exemplify that the purpose has been recognized and simply now continue to be. Now a simple reflection, a simple trusting, open, loving reflection of the idea that no situation need to be consciously controlled in order to be realized. Thank you, Lana. You are most welcome. You are welcome. Question.
The crystal and the triangles or the pyramids rather than the earth and Donna. I think that two of the vibrations that I was talking about earlier, pyramid, and I just spoke another one. Do these have any connection to other civilizations round about that we will be being in contact with as a main consciousness?
Are you asking me something you already know the answer to again?
Yes.
Thank you. Question.
Bashar,
Yes.
when you were speaking to Lana, I felt such a great deal of love and compassion and respect and gentleness in the way that you handled her. And I noticed that every time that you handled her. And it made me, I like to see that very much because I noticed that a lot of times with our children we are very abrupt and impatient and want things done the way we want to. The socially acceptable,
yes.
They're not cool, they make noise, they do this, they do that. And tying into that, I just wanted to say about giving. The idea, all this money that is given to me, but the idea, at the same time, what it made me think of was there's a woman from Germany that I was going to be living with who has two little children, and she was being supported by another woman that I work with, and this other woman has considered not supporting her anymore. And this other woman was just giving this gift of love, and I immediately thought in my own mind, to support this woman and her children. And then had this thought of that's crazy. How can I do that? I was just, I thought that's insane. Yet I still had that idea of supporting this woman and her children. And the flow that has just been given me reminded me once that the flow of being willing to take someone on like that and just being willing to flow your support, because I'm not really supporting her. She could support herself, but with two tiny little children, she can't just go out in the same way, and I'm really supporting the children. And if we all have that kind of letting go of our ideas of, well, I've got to hang on to what I got because I don't have much, and we just float it out, so we would have more than enough for all of us.
You would always be supporting each other, yes, as you will be doing with that woman in that way, in any way that you are willing to give of service to yourself, to her.
Yeah.
A question.
Yeah. Do you know of a man named D. Allen Holmes who wrote a book called The Enlightenment Part 0?
What is your question?
know of him? Do you know of this man? Is he from your civilization?
Not really, no.
Do you know of him? Can you say much about him?
Not at this time.
Okay, how about this? Is he an important figure on this planet?
That is why we cannot say anything, because you deem in that way to be searching for the idea of important figures. Understand an idea. Many times for us, the method, if you wish to call it that we have given ourselves, so that we will always be consciously aware of when we will be, in that sense, reinforcing the idea of your ability to give your power away, or removing your ability to have free will or free choice, will always manifest itself within us as not having access to the information. That is how we know we are trampling upon your free will. We are not in that way then allowing ourselves to be in accord to vibrations of that information, until in that way you are willing to center yourself within your own idea of equality with every other idea, and your own willingness in that way to maintain yourself as the creator of your own reality.
So when you say not at this time, it's not because you have the information.
Sometimes it is. Most times it will be because of what we have just described. That is one way that we know that we would be in that way interfering with your free will, or reinforcing your sense of inequality to some other idea. This we have freely created for ourselves, to limit in that way our perspective so as to be of service to you.
A good idea.
Thank you. Question.
Sure. You mentioned about June, and I've had a lot of feelings about June. Is there any more you can say about that this time?
Yes. Nice day, isn't it? What do you think?
I think it's an equal idea to any other idea.
Oh, thank you.
I'll tell you what I think.
Oh, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, right. I think that I can speak for myself and any other people that I talk to, that may, or there's particular ideas that people in general have been searching out and making a transition into, maybe goals or career changes or ideas about yourself, that May was a transition point, and if you weren't already within full swing by June, you will be in June, either beginning or you've already done it, but it'll be more physically manifested.
How does that feel?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Sounds good.
Oh, you mean it all boils down to nice day?
So it's more exciting that June is busting out all over the place.
Thank you. Do you think it is an accident that exists?
No, I worked on it very definitely.
Thank you. Question. One moment. There will be a few more of your minutes. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question for us?
I have just asked a question. That is 2 questions. When will you ask the real question? That is another question. Are you going to ask questions you do not want to ask, or are you going to ask the question you want to ask? Thank you.
She wants to know if she could go like, she lives in Montreal. Her grandfather is from the south, Languedoc. She wants to know if she goes there.
What did you tell her? What did you tell her in your mind before you asked me?
Well, she's still alive, so
Do you mean that you had no image in your mind of what you yourself would have liked to have said to her about that idea?
well, I told her that's great. Why don't you go and then she said, well, that's what she
Do you mean she will value my opinion over yours, over hers? Then you may tell her my opinion is worth nothing. Her opinion of her own feelings, of her own life, are tantamount to being anything she wishes. Tell her she will go for the right reasons, no matter what they turn out to be. Even if they are not the reasons her conscious self thought. Follow me. Oh, thank you. All right. You may say, mais, bien sûr. Pourquoi pas? That is ultimately the only answer she needs. Why not? Question.
Yes. Could you share more about your civilization in terms of trade and bartering?
Trade?
Trading and bartering.
Bartering?
Yes. Your planet doesn't need cash.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So in terms of exchange.
Quite simply, any endeavor in that way that an individual wishes, quote unquote, to produce will always be produced automatically with a place to be, with a reason. It will always perfectly find its place and its reason, or the individual that requires it. Now, therefore, we do not need in that way to set up any special circumstance for the acquisition or the giving away of anything that is produced, as the individuals that require it are always there when the product is ready to be acquired, and always only the individuals who need it. Perfect timing. That is our trade and our barter. We do what we know ourselves to be. And what we know ourselves to be always interacts perfectly on every level with every other portion of what we know ourselves to be. Thank you.
So in other words, if you're going to build an amusement park, you telepathically share it with everyone. Everybody shows up there and starts building.
Yes. Those that identify with that vibration are simply there because they wish to be. Because they know that that vibration will be at that place at that time. Not in the sense that you understand it. There will be manifestations which exist upon our planet and as their own, in a sense, areas in space, devices in space, creations in space, which will then be utilized for the purpose of the exploration of the self in enjoyable ways. To some degree, I will say similar to what you would term to be amusement, but quite different. There will be one place in particular which will be crystalline in nature, seemingly a very small planet, crystalline in nature. When you enter the field of this creation and exist within it, then you may have what you term to be the physical realization of any reality that you wish. Seemingly, it will be a quasi-planar state of existence, in your terminology as best, quote-unquote, as can be expressed in your language, halfway between physical and non-physical reality, which will allow you to truly, I'll say, feel as if you are awake while dreaming. That will be one idea.
Would it be kind of like that Star Trek when he visited the planet and somehow this machine focused in on their thoughts, and whatever they thought was automatically created?
It will be similar, but it will be more, again, of an energy nature. Not completely, as you understand it, really physically manufactured, but seemingly physically real. All right, one more.
Okay. I almost feel like I shouldn't have to ask.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe that is an accurate feeling.
Maybe I should be able to beam everybody where I want to beam them. But anyway...
Don't forget that you have chosen to be in this reality for a specific purpose. And at certain times of timing, there will be the opportunity in that way to experience certain ideas as long as it is in accord to the service you are providing by sharing with the overall mass conscious idea of itself at this time.
Oh, good. Okay. In that case, is it all right if I invite everybody here to something that's going to be going on Saturday? Sure. Yes. All right with you?
Why does it have to be all right with me if it's your planet?
We'd like you to come too. Yes, my friend here says invite him. Anyway. Yeah, well, anyway, we've been working on this, we've been working with some people who are marketing some New Age products, all right? That's what they call them, like books about UFOs and stuff.
We understand the terminology.
Right, yeah. And that's one of our products, is a series of books about Pleiades, contacts with people from the Pleiades, and pyramids and various devices which help people channel and stuff. And anyway, so we're having a seminar on Saturday, and we have flyers for it, and we'd like people to come, because it's sort of like mind, and it's really nice to be here.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Allow me to say, once again, something which we will never tire of saying. Always, 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 we enjoy the sharing of consciousness with you. For it always to us is a gift which allows for the overall expansion and more awareness of all that is that we then have to explore. Thank you for the gift that you have given to us then out of deepest unconditional love, as we then extend our unconditional love to you. We will thank you. We will say good night.
Good night.